Hi, I'm Mallory, and today I'm going to be showing you how to do vibrato on the flute. So vibrato is a really important skill, especially for flute players. I believe most instruments can do it. I think especially you'll see a lot of string players will use vibrato a lot. Singers use it, and a lot of other wind instruments can, but it's a very, it's less common for them to use it. Flute players use it constantly, especially once you start getting into higher level music. In high school, like just that kind of those harder pieces, they will all pretty much require vibrato. It's basically, vibrato is a fluctuation in your pitch. So instead of just having a flat sound, you have I've heard it described as like kind of a shimmery sound. It basically just adds depth and warmth to your sound, and it's really, really important for having like that more mature tone. So vibrato is not something that you learn overnight. I mean, this is, no matter who you learn it from, it will take a while. For me, I mean, I've been working on my vibrato for, honestly, years. Like, I still work on it. Just a few minutes ago, I was like practicing it some. It's something that you have to work on to make it get better. So you should not be disheartened if this is the first time you've tried vibrato. It will not be perfect. It's going to take you at least weeks. But if you stick with it, it makes your sound so much better. So vibrato comes from your diaphragm right here. One thing a lot of people do when they're first starting out, I know I did, is people want to, pulse with their lips or with their mouth. Like they want to move their cheeks in some way. But that's not what you want to do. Vibrato is classically from your throat and from your diaphragm. So it's basically you're pulsing your air. Especially when you start out, you'll feel it a little more. I think once you get to a certain point, like I'm at a certain point where it just feels natural. It doesn't feel weird, but it will feel a little weird at first. Okay, for this segment, I'm going to stand up so I can kind of show you the diaphragm. So like I said, you're feeling that pulsing from your diaphragm. So you really want to just try that right now. Stand up, put your hand here, and make kind of I've heard it's people say it's kind of like you're coughing. So you want to kind of make that same kind of feeling. So, but you want to feel your diaphragm move, because your diaphragm muscles are what's pulsing the air. So just kind of try that, without your flute, just like kind of like feel what that feeling is like, because it feels weird. So once you've kind of gotten used to that feeling, hand on your stomach, let's get our flutes and just pick a random note. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to play a C sharp. If you don't put any keys down, you play a C sharp. And I am going to still put one hand, I know you can't see, on my diaphragm. And I'm just going to kind of try doing some gentle pulsing. So that doesn't sound very pretty, but I know you can't see, but I had my hands on my diaphragm and I could feel it. It was moving. And so you're really looking for that. You want to feel the movement, because that means that you're doing it right. So even if it sounds kind of sharp, like I know that sounded really kind of gross. That's obviously not the sound you're going for, but that is the basics of pulsing, and it's cool to be able to hear it on your flute. So once you've kind of got a good feel for how vibrato feels, how it should make your stomach feel, how it kind of starts to sound on your flute, the next step is to choose a comfortable note. I'm going to choose A. And to turn on a metronome and try to pulse different rhythms. This was how I was taught by my teacher, and it's really helpful. So you're starting with some nice, maybe some gentle quarter notes, and you're moving up until you're doing some quicker vibrato. And this will really help you get a steady pulse rather than kind of random. That's like one of the biggest things. We're trying to get a nice, consistent pulse. Which again is not going to happen overnight, but this is a really good exercise for that. So now I have a metronome pulled up. It's for 60 beats per minute, and what I'm going to do is for 8 counts, I'm going to pulse quarter notes, and it's going to sound really like seasicky. It's not going to sound super good, but we're kind of going for that slow, consistent pulse so that we can speed it up later. So this is a metronome, just a nice slow beat, and you're going to hear it. So if you heard, there was some pulsing. That was vibrato. It's really slow. Obviously, you're not going to want to go that slow in real life. but that pulsing is the basics of vibrato. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to stay at 60 beats per minute, but we are going to move to eighth notes. So this is going to be a little harder, but you're going to start to hear a little more of the vibrato sound. So that was eighth notes. So every time it starts to sound more and more like vibrato. So we're going to keep doing it again. I'm not going to show you every single time, but we're going to go ahead and maybe we'll get up to 16 notes. So I'm going to show you triplets and 16 notes back to back, because I think you probably get the idea by now. But I'm keeping my metronome the same, but every time I'm going for 8 counts, but I'm upping the rhythm. So it's just a little bit faster each time, and this is really going to help you get control. So of course, I do not recommend you do, like a one and done thing like I'm doing. Do these more than once. Especially I think the faster ones, they get harder. So you don't just want to do it once and move on. Do it several times. Maybe you don't go all the way up to 16th notes this time. But eventually, maybe once you're feeling more comfortable, go ahead and try to get to those 16th notes. So once we've done, the basics of vibrato on a single note, we want to try applying it to music. But we're not going to start with like, some crazy band music. A really good way to actually practice your vibrato is by applying it to a scale, because a lot of times when you use vibrato is on long notes. So a scale is a perfect time. So what I'm going to do is on my B flat scale, I'm going to just do ascending. So I'm going to go from, I'm just going to play 1 octave, no descending, no arpeggio, nothing fancy, and I'm going to play each note for 4 beats. And I'm going to play triplet vibrato on each beat. So you'll end up getting 4 sets of triplets for each note of vibrato. And what it's going to do is it's really going to practice my flexibility. So I'm going to keep my metronome on at 60, and I'm just going to demonstrate it for you guys. So once you get comfortable with this exercise, you can apply it to any scale. You can apply it to chromatic scale if you're doing long tones. Actually, this was Kira's idea. You can, from her teacher, if you have a long tones exercise, you can do it with vibrato and really work on getting it really nice on every note. If you guys have any warm-up exercises, like in Orcos, we have exercise 1 and 2, that's a perfect chance to use vibrato. This is really something you can practice with literally anything. So, whenever you're warming up or anything, it's a great time to kind of get used to it, because it's something that if you want to get good at it, you have to practice it pretty frequently. Once you get to a certain point where you feel comfortable with the rhythmic exercises of vibrato, you kind of get to a point where you find your own vibrato. When I play a piece of music, I do not count out my vibrato. And you may have to at first, and that's okay, but you will get to a point where you're comfortable. Like for example, if I were to play a vibrato on an A right now, it would sound like this. I didn't count any of that out. There was just a natural fluctuation to my pitch. And this comes in handy, so of course vibrato is used in real music. So I'm going to kind of show you some pieces and some different kind of speeds or styles of vibrato that you can use to match like the tone of the piece. So now I'm going to play Do You Want to Build a Snowman from Frozen, and so I want you to kind of listen how I use vibrato. It is a creative choice, so not everybody uses it the same in every piece, but I want you to kind of hear how, if there's a part with a ritardando, I will slow down with my vibrato. Sometimes if it's louder and higher, I will change it. It's all kind of your interpretation, and that's what's so fun about it. So if you heard, I was pretty liberal with my use of vibrato. It wasn't the same everywhere. Some places it was more dramatic, some places it was more reserved, and that is just a creative choice I made. I mean, one of you guys could play this exact same piece and completely interpret it differently. But this use of vibrato it's beyond the music. I mean, nowhere on this piece of music does it say use vibrato, but it's me interpreting it, and I'm adding a little extra something to the music, and it sounds so much cooler with a vibrato. I hope this was helpful in some way. I hope you learned, some techniques for, learning vibrato, or you learned what it is. Either way, it's a hard technique. Don't expect results overnight. Like I've said, this has taken me years to get good at, and even still, I still have room to improve. So, keep working at it, especially right now we have so much downtime. So, really keep practicing it. Practice it every day if you can. And eventually you will see results. I mean, you will see it. And once you can do vibrato, the options are limitless. I mean, like I kind of showed you, it's very personalized. This kind of allows you can change how a piece sounds based on how you use vibrato, and it'll make your tone better. It's just all good stuff. So I hope, this kind of helped, and if you need anything, if you need help with this, or anything else, you can reach out to me. Either text me if you have my contact information, or I help run the Norks Flutes account on Instagram, so you can send a DM. I'll help you with whatever you need. So yeah, I hope you have a good day.